Overall, our work on a Syrian tragedy and my individual work really helped me achieve the module aims. One module aim, for example, that I really feel like we focused on was giving us a better understanding and embodied knowledge of aspects of tragic performance. And through our work on a Syrian tragedy, I felt I was able to successfully achieve this through my consideration of how the Syrian refugee crisis could relate to a classical tragedy such as Hecuba. My research into this text and into the crisis alongside that meant I was able to develop a greater understanding of the tragic form. For example, the role of the chorus. So in our brief performance of Women of Troy at the start of the installation, we drew heavily on concepts about the chorus. For example, my own suggestion of us wearing all black, so we remained separate and distinct from the installation itself, which also went well with our simplistic delivery style. Both ideas drawn from theories about the chorus that we'd learnt in the first half of the module, and the idea of the traditional role of the chorus reflecting and commenting on the action of the protagonists, in this case, the symbolic clothes of Alan Kurdi. And perhaps to further this idea and encompass ideas about the role of chorus further, for example, we should have included more unison speech, which would have made our delivery more dynamic, or we could have looked at the clothes of Alan Kurdi more to make it clear that that's what we were referencing. In the feedback, Theo suggested that the performance could have been more engaging, so this is perhaps one way we could have done that. Another module aim is to be able to compare texts from across historical periods and diverse cultural contexts. The comparisons that we drew between the Syrian refugee crisis and classical tragedies allowed us to explore this idea further and identify similar motifs that can be identified in classical texts and in modern day tragedies such as that of Syria, and the way in which they are presented in the media and how that can be comparable. So, for example, a focus on the death of children and the aim of stirring emotions in the viewer is evident in both. And this expands our understanding of tragedy and the way terms and motifs from this time can go beyond classical texts. We could have picked up on this idea in a more detailed and nuanced way. I could have in the sound design. For example, the clips I picked out could have used similar language to the language of that of Greek tragedies to make the comparison even clearer, and that would have also added an interesting and alternative dynamic to the soundscape. Another module aim that I really feel we realised in our work is conceiving and creating performance material in relation to specific frameworks and points of reference to bring performance work to fruition for an audience. And our work focused on specific frames of references and materials throughout. From the very early stages of development, we focused on the theme of the sea, the image of Alan Kurdi, and the idea of travel. And these concepts were maintained throughout our piece and the work on our piece. For example, I reflected the sea theme even through the lighting, and the sound bites I used in the sound design were about Alan Kurdi to tie into this frame of reference. The piece was developed with those themes in mind to make sure that it was cohesive and specific. In terms of bringing a performance to fruition, I also feel we worked extremely well as a group. I took on quite a leading role, delegating different tasks and creating schedules for us to work to. I think to improve, we could have been more assertive and brave staging the piece early on and making clear decisions, which would have allowed for more time for rehearsing with tech, etc., rather than continuing discussion for a longer time as we did. I also feel in my role as marketing manager, I could have led the group better, having stronger communication and delegation to bring the work to fruition. But overall, I feel this performance really helped us realise the aims of the module.